Hello. This video is about sound. Sound that we hear is actually compression waves traveling through the through the air from whoever's talking to the person ear who's listening. So what you're seeing on the screen are some different ways that the microphone on the computer is able to show this sound. At the top, the green lines show how that air is vibrating. Very low sounds vibrate a couple of hundred times a second. So those show up on the left of the graph. Let's hear some low sounds. And then high sounds show up on the right part of the graph, and those vibrate a few thousand times per second. The area down here has lower sounds near the bottom and higher sounds near the top, and you can see that it kind of keeps moving as time goes on. And then this part of the graph is a representation of how the molecules are vibrating. So let's hear just one regular note. So it shows a steady wave. Let's hear it one more time. Okay, so now we can hear a little song on the piano, and we can see how the different waves will show up in this way where we can visualize it. Okay, so we saw lots of peaks on the graphs corresponding to the different notes. Something like a drum doesn't have a particular note. So let's see how a little drum here, a snare drum, right now the snares are turned off. So let's see what a snare drum does to the sound patterns. Okay, so we see that there's lots of frequencies that are vibrating and just a few peaks. So that's why it doesn't really have a clear note. And then if you turn the snares on, so these are little wires that vibrate on the bottom of the drum to give it a different sound. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's how percussion instruments look. Now let's see a brass instrument next. And take a look at this baritone here. So it's kind of like a tuba but smaller. Okay, let's hear some baritone music and see how that looks. A baritone's a lower instrument, so most of the vibrations will be in the few hundred vibrations per second area here on the left part of the graph. All right, now let's hear one more on piano, something that doesn't have quite as many notes happening at once as the last piano part that we heard. So see if you can follow along with which notes you're hearing, where they show up on the graph. Very nice. And the last instrument we can look at is a clarinet. So if we take a clarinet, we can see how this is going to look different because of the different sounds that it makes. Okay.
Yay!
Thanks for watching our video. Hopefully you learned something about sound and the vibrations that we hear. There's one more thing about all the sounds that we've seen, that when we hear one note on an instrument like a clarinet, there's the main vibrations that are usually the highest peak on this graph, and then there's other peaks too. Those are called overtones. So you might have been seeing lots of high peaks on the graph over here when you're really mostly hearing a low note down here. So let's hear a couple of clarinet notes, and we can see some of these overtones. So down here is where the main note was, and then all those other extra peaks over here are called the overtones. Let's hear that last note again. So look, you can count 1, 2, 3, at least 4 different peaks, even though the main note is down here, and that's what gives each instrument its unique sound.